A bill to eliminate marriage licenses in the state of Idaho sort of flying under the radar as only one person testified at Friday's hearing. Get ready for your close-up. The city of Boise will start using facial recognition technology with the direct objective of urging the U.S. Supreme Court to overturn Roe v. Wade. It's been Breaking Bad pandemonium in downtown Boise today, as evidenced by these abandoned e-scooters here. Another way they're now doing this, parking has now shifted to 4 hours in the streets surrounding Nampa's main business district. What may have started as 5 women just looking to have some 4th of July fun on the Payette River behind me here in Emmett sadly has ended in tragedy. Typically this time of year in the Treasure Valley, you might find us lacing up our sneakers, throwing on the coolest leather jacket we own, and charging our way out the door to meet our friends at a venue like Neurolux. There are 5 major tools states can implement to help affordable housing: inclusionary housing, rent control. Milking does not look like what it used to be. Welcome to Struggletown, USA. Population 1, me. One local homeless man now seeing remarkable personal gains from a simple group activity every week on the Greenbelt. Like the river flows, so do the runners and walkers who line the Boise Greenbelt any given Saturday. But this group of joggers has seen rougher waters than most.
I live at the homeless shelter, and these are people, also other guests that live there as well.
Meet the Cooper Court Walk Run Club.
It's like you're in your own little groove, you know? Took me a long time to find my groove, I'll tell you what.
Named after the alley behind Interfaith Sanctuary, where John and his wife were found crying on a Monday 9 months ago.
I was doing drugs, she was doing drugs. In a nutshell, we couldn't pay the rent.
And I went and I talked to them, and they were so scared. They didn't know how to do this homeless thing.
That's when the sanctuary helped them land jobs, a pair of running shoes, and the opportunity to be a part of something bigger and, well, faster. Every Saturday morning at 8 a.m., the group meets at Interfaith Sanctuary and then walks down to this section of the Greenbelt near Americana Boulevard and Shoreline Drive to begin their walk or run. And as the club prepares for St. Luke's Fit One half marathon in September,
sometimes you just need some motivation.
John says the club provides a reset and helps him outrun his addiction. Having recently become a grandfather, John says he's now 6 months clean and only relapsed once.
I have too many people that rely on me. I can't disappoint not one of them.
Visions of a life in his future home push him closer to that finish line.
You have like all this stuff to work for, because you've got the family,
absolutely,
you've got the baby. So
I can already see it in my mind that it's us sitting in the living room watching TV, all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
It takes a fighter to lace up every week like these folks do, but that courage to go the distance,
forward momentum, is really important.
Now giving John and other club members this in return:
the grace and dignity that they deserve.
To learn how you can get involved, join the group, or provide donations, visit 6onyourside.com. In studio, Maddie White, 6 on Your Side. Longtime Boise mother of 2 LGBT daughters says she's been donating time and money to Boise Rescue Mission for years, but was shocked to come across a question on an application for their recovery program, a question she feels is inappropriate. It's been a long road for Marianne Morrison and her daughter Sawyer. At only 22, she spent years struggling with an alcohol addiction, which her mother says led her to this:
homelessness, lack of a job.
So Marianne helped her fill out an application for Boise Rescue Mission's New Life Recovery Program. And that's when she noticed a yes or no question asking, do you understand that our program holds to the biblical doctrine that only a heterosexual lifestyle is an acceptable lifestyle to God? Are you willing to adhere to this? Sawyer, her mother says, is a lesbian.
I just can't believe that in order to get into the long-term recovery program that you have to say you're not going to be gay. How is that even possible?
Legally, it is possible. As long as they're not receiving taxpayer dollars, charitable faith-based organizations like Boise Rescue Mission can technically ask whatever kinds of questions they'd like. But I spoke to Boise Rescue Mission's CEO to learn more.
Well, and that's a good question for us to ask, because while they're in the program, we're going to expect them to adhere to that.
Roscoe says he doesn't know if they've ever denied someone for answering no to that question, but he does say,
well, I think there would have to be further conversation, at least, you know, what do you mean no? You know, do you intend to be flirting with the other women in the program and trying to set up dates or something? Or, you know, what does that mean, no?
He also added they won't be denied entrance to the program for answering no.
We won't deny them that opportunity. We want to serve as many people as we can and anyone in need.
Then why ask the question?
Well, because again, we want people to understand from the beginning that this is how the program is going to be.
This, Marianne says, would harm her daughter's recovery, causing them to pull out from the process altogether.
If you're trying to get someone to heal and be happy, how could you force them to do something that they simply can't do?
Roscoe, who with the program has helped 500 people with what he says is an 85% success rate, says he has no plans of removing the question or changing any of the wording.
We want them to know that in our program we teach this, because to that person who, if this is offensive to you, you're probably not going to do well in our program.
That begs the question, if an LGBT person may not do well there, where can they go for long-term treatment in the Treasure Valley? Tomorrow on 6 on Your Side, I take a look at the bigger picture at what resources are available, if any, for this population. In studio, Maddie White, 6 on Your Side. It's all a part of the VA's commitment to improve services located in close proximity to Idahoans, so more Idaho veterans will sign up for VA health care, in turn boosting the VA's watch over their physical and mental health. I talked to one vet who's happy his heart is back on rhythm. On his guitar, 89-year-old Eldon Leach stays right on tempo. But the same couldn't always be said for the Army veteran's heartbeat.
My heart looked okay, but it was slow.
Eldon used to have a rough time making it to his weekly band practice.
And there's usually about 30 of us playing.
And says he had a scary moment at one of their gigs when he passed out.
I was sitting there playing and I fell off my stool backwards.
But all that changed about 6 months ago.
There's a pacemaker.
When Eldon became one of the first veterans to benefit from the VA's new cardiac catheterization lab.
We were able to provide that care here without having to dislocate him somewhere else.
Before this opened, there were no VA clinics in Idaho with radial-specific labs and x-rays, technology needed to treat veterans like Eldon. He would have had to go to Portland or Seattle, which Dr. Fonken says posed problems for many vets.
And it's a struggle for them to even get transportation to us, much less some other institution in another state.
For the weapons specialist who fought in the Korean War,
That's me.
that procedure may have saved his life. And even with his 90th birthday around the corner, there's a lot Eldon can now do,
I still run.
including touching his toes.
Look at there. Look at there.
And pulling on a young journalist's heartstrings while serenading her on his 12-string. Thank you. What a charmer. The new cardiac cath lab at the Boise VA treats about 400 veterans in Idaho every year. In studio, Maddie White, 6 on Your Side. A somber scene tonight as cleanup crews removed home items involved in yesterday's bloodbath. Meridian PD tell us the suspect, 39-year-old Edward Epps Jr., fatally shot 2 adults, his ex-wife and her current spouse, before turning the gun on himself. Police say they believe Epps forced his way into the residence armed with 2 handguns and began firing at Jose and Heidi De Leon. Police say 47-year-old Jose, who owned the home, was the first to be shot.
Jose attempted to confront him and stop him from harming the children or his wife, and received multiple gunshot wounds, ultimately dying in the hallway of the residence.
Police say after Heidi suffered a gunshot wound to the shoulder, she then ran to a bathroom to hide and call 911.
He forced his way into that bathroom and shot her multiple times as well.
Meanwhile, Epps' 13-year-old daughter, who he shared with Heidi, escaped to a neighbor's house to call for help. But the suspect remained in the house with his 10-year-old daughter and her stepsister, Jose's 11-year-old daughter. That's when officials from multiple agencies across the valley began negotiations.
So we used our crisis negotiators from the SWAT team, and then Boise City brought their SWAT team in as well.
Thankfully, they were able to get the children out without physical harm.
And then Epps took his own life with a gunshot wound to the head.
The motive? Well, the investigation is still ongoing, but online records say Heidi De Leon and Edward Epps, who divorced in 2011, had a court date regarding child support at the end of this month. Police say the 3 children are now staying with other family members.
It is really going to be very key for the families to rally around those kids and take care of those kids. They're going to need long-term counseling for sure.